Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. It's a great show this week. We talk about the outdoor game. We talk about the best players we've ever played with. We talk about the best ice in the world. Make sure you send us emails to ian@ianbagg.com. Also listen to us on Apple iTunes, Spotify, and tell your friends, rate and review. Enjoy yourselves. Make sure you contact us. Well, hello, Jeff. Nice to see you. What a weekend. What a weekend. My God, I just sat around the house waiting for a game to start in the middle of Tahoe.
We were longest intermission in NHL history, but
it's interesting. I don't understand why they decide and as I say it, I'm going to contradict myself because I know they're going after certain markets, so they start the game at noon. But if you're starting the game at noon, maybe not put it on the West Coast. You know what I mean? Because that's later in the day on the East Coast, so they're trying for that market. But then they put the game on the West Coast. So what do you think? What do you think the problem was? What do you think they went wrong?
I don't really think they went wrong anywhere. I think you learn from stuff like this. This is their 30th time having an outdoor game, first stoppage. I would say that I really liked what they did, and I actually think the NHL is going to start heading this direction in these scenic backdrops. Lake Tahoe, beautiful. Yeah, you could sit there in Monday morning quarterback and say, well, you shouldn't have had it at noon. But they did, they learned, and actually I think they got more press by having it get delayed and then picked back up at 9 out on the West Coast and midnight on the East Coast than they would have ever got the other way. Might not have got the audience, but they definitely got the press, and good for them.
Well, it was great. It was great to be able to. I was driving home from a gig, and I was able to listen to the game, the third period of the game, still at 10 o'clock at night. So it was pretty great. I'm not saying what went wrong as in you guys, because a lot of people were coming down hard on the NHL. I think you got to try things, and there's going to be mistakes. You're going to learn from the mistakes, but they keep putting these games early in the day. They did it with the LA Kings, and I can't remember who they played at Dodger Stadium. The sun would have been at the same height there as it would have been up in Tahoe. So they kind of got to go with a weatherman and decide on some of those things beforehand, because it is ice and it does melt, right? So
yeah, the game in Tahoe, Tahoe gets a ton of sun, so that wasn't anything new there. And they kept waiting for the clouds to come over. Maybe they go earlier, but if you drop the puck at 9 a.m. West Coast time, kind of like they do breakfast at Wimbledon. Well, let's do breakfast at Lake Tahoe or Lake Louise up, you've got so many different places you can go, or you could do what they did with Boston and Philly and drop the puck at, 4:30, 4:40, somewhere in there on the Sunday and see how that goes. Although I do believe the sun was an issue in that game to start off with. You still got the beautiful surroundings and the feel of being outside, that, the sun was setting as the game went on, and there's a lot there too. So I think if they put stands around, like bleachers kind of idea, maybe 8, 10, 12,000 people, the NHL is really onto something here. And there's a lot of places that they could do that.
I'm curious if they can put that many fans there because of all the logistics putting up. You need bathrooms, you need transportation there, and it's going to get walked on. But it was on a golf course, so you might be able to. I think it's great that the NHL does these things, because I think if you don't use your imagination and come up with fun ideas, you're just stuck on the same thing over and over again. I think. Now listen to me, and I'm saying I think. I would like to see this more than a all-star game. Like, there could be something that this could be more fan interaction rather than an all-star game. So your all-star game it's still a break, except for the two top teams, and maybe they play in Tahoe, and it's a fun weekend where fans can do something with like I don't know. Maybe and I should have thought of this earlier, but I didn't. So everybody, just back off me for a second here. Like you could do something where you almost make it a fantasy camp where people pay $10,000 to be at that game, because people will be at that, pay that money to be at that game. So I don't know. And then maybe something after the game where you play. I don't know. What do you think? Am I out of control?
No, yeah, you're way out of control, but I like where you're going. I think the NHL needs to head this direction and make it more of an intimate kind of setting. A couple of years ago was at University of Michigan, and the big house was Detroit and Toronto, and it's snowing, and there was a lot of really cool things around that. The NHL, once you get kind of out to, I mean, imagine playing in downtown Toronto, or one of these places where you've got the city skyline in the background, or downtown New York in Central Park. And, you're right. Logistics is a really tough part of this, because these massive stadiums are built to have these crowds and the parking, and the police are used to, the traffic and all the rest of that. They're used to it. I think there's so many opportunities. You've got Lake Tahoe. You've got here in Vegas, you got Red Rock, which would be unbelievable. You've got Big Bear in California, the Sierras, obviously. And then, wouldn't it be great if Seattle could play Vancouver, up in the Cascades or in the range around the Coast Range. So
right at the border
you
there.
got the Rock.
Right on the border. It'd be great if they played right.
Yeah. Maybe they just play on the Canadian-U.S. border and put center ice right, on the 49th parallel.
That'd be awesome.
That would be a great, and right by a couple of those border crossings, especially the ocean's right there. It would be incredible. Now, obviously, that would be a little bit of a nightmare trying to get people to and from, and being able to work it out with both governments. But I really applaud the NHL for what they did. Yeah, it didn't really turn out the way that they wanted it to, but I enjoyed the first period. I thought Colorado came for business and took Vegas a while to get going. But then after watching all the games in the Battle of Alberta, which was that night, we tuned right back in, and they dropped the puck at 9:00, and we watched Colorado and Vegas again. So I think the NHL got a huge bump out of this. I like where they're going. If they can get some fans in there with, in a way, where the bleachers blocking the views of the surrounding area, I think that's the way I'd like to see them go.
I think the world has to look at it like this. You don't have to go for quantity over quality. So I don't think you should try to get 50,000 fans. Like, that shouldn't be your thing. You've seen that the games can be played with 0 fans in the audience. So what can make the game more exciting and different? So there's a little bit of so the video games now. So there, you all of a sudden you got video game people playing that game. There's money to be made outside of just the fans being there. I think the NHL has to look at that kind of.
Well, you had a great opportunity to take a mulligan on this one, right? You didn't have to worry about transportation in and out of South Lake Tahoe or State Line, Nevada. The road systems, that's a resort area. The road system's set up only to hold so much traffic and parking. They got the ski hills. They can probably set up some kind of to and from. But this was a great chance for the NHL to take a swing at this and learn from it. And I can guarantee you, they probably, after the first period of the Saturday's game with Vegas and Colorado, they learned a lot. And then, the Sunday game with Boston and Philly, we watched that. It was beautiful again. Would have liked a little bit closer game. It was close till later part of the second period, and Boston kind of pulled away. But the game was fast. Yeah. What's that?
Pulled away. They left him behind. Suddenly Philadelphia thought they had a flight they had to catch. It was bizarre the way they just did.
That got out of hand real quick. It was a shame because they were hanging in there, and then boom, and that was that.
For all the Philadelphia fans out there, they probably, we've still got a little bit more to do before we're going to win the Stanley Cup, because they at the beginning of the season they were having a parade. Oh my God, they were breaking another bell. They were all excited. They had nothing but liberty, and then they're like, Boston is. Oh, we're gonna have to bleep that out. Boston is just still kind of still a powerhouse. Oh my goodness, they showed that on that day, boy. The game with Vegas and Denver, though, I was glad that they called it, and I felt like they should have called it a little bit earlier because that ice was just it was almost dangerous the way people were going down. That would not have been good if somebody had gotten like really hurt. Oh, like ACL or something like that. That would have been trouble.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that players ever, I think they know the difference between the good and the bad ice in the buildings in the league, or the ice they might like better. But I don't think they ever take for granted the integrity of the ice or the integrity of that ice. I mean, that was basically like skating on a lake. But most of us have skated on lakes, and when you first get out on the lake, you can let it rip, and then all of a sudden, after everyone's been skating on it, it's not as good. And
right,
there was all kinds of issues with that. So
ruts and yeah,
it was much better in the afternoon. Or in the evening. That's for sure.
Where's the best ice you've ever skated on in indoors? We'll get away from the outdoor game. We'll go back to indoors now. Where's you've skated in a lot of arenas. Where's the best ice you've skated in?
Well,
NHL.
We have to.
Let's do this. We'll do NHL and non-NHL.
Okay. I'm going to have to say the best ice I skated on in the NHL was in Edmonton, and they're renowned for their ice up there. Mm-hmm. So I'll give a tip of the hat to them. And then minor hockey, I would have to give I'd have to give a tip of the hat to our hometown. The ice we always had back home in Terrace was unbelievable, although I will give Hazelton, which is just east of Terrace, a nod. Remember, because we'd go over there and play, and they had no ice making equipment at that time. Mm-hmm. They were just inside a building, and it froze naturally, and that was that was slick. So NHL Edmonton, and then I'm a little biased. I'd have to go with the hometown ice we had. It was always really, really good. But you had to let it set up, right, Ian? I mean, you just couldn't skate out there.
Oh, no. In our hometown, there was a guy named Doug Sivier. He would yell at you if you went on the ice before the water had set to ice. Oh, they would just snap. And he loved to put on a good flood so he could yell at kids to get off the ice.
Yeah. Siv was the best. Yeah, I never understood why he was yelling at us all the time. And Siv could yell pretty good. And we're like, why is Siv yelling at us? We're just trying to live our lives. We wanted to go skate. Get off the ice. We could have used Siv in Lake Tahoe. Siv, we missed you there.
He would have told them, Doug Sivier could have been out there. I think Terrace had great ice. I think Terrace had good ice. Hazelton had a good ice, and so did Smithers. Smithers had some good ice out there as well. Mm-hmm. Prince Rupert and Kitimat had horrible ice. There was those, but Prince Rupert, I don't know what they're too busy hanging out at the Dairy Queen.
I'd have to wonder. There's a few other places. Actually, I will give a nod to if anybody skated in some of the NHL practice rinks. I will give a nod. City National here in Vegas, where the Knights play, where they practice at City National up on the west side of town. I got to tip my hat to those guys. Like, that ice is top notch. So
is that where their AHL team's playing in that building?
No, the AHL team. There's a brand new practice rink for them in the east side of town in Henderson, and then they're playing in the Orleans Casino for the first 2 years while they build them a building. Yeah,
good for them. Good for them. Yeah. My goodness. I liked the Staples Center's actually got pretty good ice. I've skated there, and I've also skated at the Ducks at the pond. That was horrible. But the best ice was at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. That's where I skated 3 games there when I did this tournament for Brian Burke. And my favorite part about skating there was I was with Doug Risebrow, and he pointed out all the places that Harold Sneps beat him up off the ice. That was awesome. I loved it. And then he beat me up over there, and then he came back for more. I didn't know what to do. I was still on my skates. I couldn't get away. I like it. Oh, my God. Speaking of that, who's the best player you've ever played with?
There are actually 2. I'll give you 2. And then I'll give you a third.
Who's not on this podcast?
No, yeah, exactly. Well, You're the best player I ever played with, Ian. You know that. But I would say Stevie Yzerman, incredible, probably top 10 all-time NHL player. If he's not in the top 10, he's right there. Incredible work ethic, great guy, and he's gone on to be an incredible GM and executive in the league. The other guy, who I just had a cup of coffee with, but was just another super guy, do anything for anybody, was Mark Messier. And then I got traded to Edmonton. I was in the Forum Hotel, and Mess called me up, goes, "Hey, Sharps, I'm coming down to pick you up tomorrow morning." I'm like, "What?"
No way.
Mess is coming to get me? He's like, "Hey," and then just a great guy and a hell of a player, and he's top 10 for sure. I don't think many people would argue with that either. The last one, I only played one game with him, and it was in the Pacific Coliseum, Ian. Pavel Bure. And I'm telling you, I would have loved to have played with him because we played in some charity game. And the Russian Rocket, all I did was look for him the whole time in the game. And I got him the puck quite often. It was kind of surprised me, to be honest. And I was like, man, that's the best game I think I ever played. And it was just a charity game. But the Pavel Bure was incredible, and another super guy. And his brother Valerie played in the league as well. So,
Wow.
But I only had one game with Pavel, but he was amazing. That's it. Sorry.
All right, I'll go with mine. Mine, the best people I've ever played with. Kip Lindsay was amazing when we were about 12 years old. He was fantastic. And then when I was 16 to 18, Ravi Chokar. God, that kid could score. He was a complete pothead and great guy, but he could score like you wouldn't believe. He just passed him that puck and he would score. And he wasn't fast. He reminded me of Mario. Just kind of the wind was pushing him back, but he'd still go forward. It was crazy, insane. And then my last one, Igor Larionov. I played in a couple games with him. One at the Pacific Coliseum, the other one up in the ski resort up there, and he wanted to make sure everybody on the team scored. It was just fantastic. And I had already scored twice, and he came back to me. He said, "Have you scored yet?" And I said, "No." And he said, "We're going to score again." I'm like, I got a hat trick off of Igor Larionov. Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, good guy too. Unlike not a nice guy though. Anyways, back to you. Here we go. Continuing on. Let's talk about jerseys this week. We're going to talk about jerseys. Who has the best all-time jerseys in the NHL?
Well, I'm going to go with an original six team on this. And you can have your choice between, any of the original six jerseys are fantastic. So you can pick any of those. But if I had to go with one, I love the Montreal Canadiens red jersey. It's unbelievable. So I'll just go with them. I could mention some others, but after you said Kip Lindsay and Ravi Chokar, I got to regroup.
I'm going to say I like the Philadelphia Flyers. I think that's that orange it's just like intense. And then I can't figure out the Philadelphia Flyer thing. I can't figure that out to save my life. And I think it's a great logo. And I like when it's all orange, and I like when it's just the home one with the white and just a little bit of orange. I know you're throwing up in your mouth. I can see by the way you're holding your face. What number two? Who's your second? Who's your second one?
I think, like I said, any of those original six, I'm cool with. I will go with number two. I do love. Number two is going to be a couple places, and we got to talk about those reverse retros too. But number two, I'm going to go with Buffalo. Love Buffalo's uniform. Don't like the wins and losses very much at their record, but I would say Buffalo. And there's a couple others I could throw in there, but Buffalo, they've gone back to that classic look. It's just such a beautiful uniform.
Yeah, great. That's how you describe Buffalo. Oh my God, they're just struggling like you wouldn't believe. Isn't it? I enjoy Vegas throwing in the gold helmet. The gold helmet is pretty funny to me. Because isn't that from the European League? Wouldn't you get the gold helmet if you were the scoring champ? Isn't that something European?
Yeah, I don't know, but I
All right, I'm going to bring it up.
yeah, way to go.
I'm very
We
disappointed.
didn't talk about that. No, I just I think that the deal with the gold helmet is like it's like shock and awe. You're like, what is?
Yeah.
And then you're talking about it, and Vegas has done a phenomenal job of getting that branding out there, and you're always talking about the Knights, or at least they come up a lot. Now the gold helmet. It's just another, hey, here we are. We're the Vegas Golden Knights, and
I think it's fun, and it doesn't have to be. It can be a one and done thing. It doesn't, and it's just fun, and it, like you said, it gets everybody talking. And I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I just, to me, I was just like, oh yeah, that's pretty interesting, and just, you know, I was like, so I like when they wear, I like the cement gray helmet they wear. The cement gray helmet is really, I think that's a good looking color that you haven't seen in the NHL before. So.
Well, the gold helmet's almost like a car accident. You don't want to look, but you can't help yourself look and say what's going on there. And the gold helmet to me is the first game. I couldn't stop. I was like, couldn't stop looking at it. And of course, they pan the bench, and you'd be like, wow. And then the second game they wore them. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, they're wearing the gold helmets. Now you're thinking, like, what uniform would it look best with?
Right. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they got 4 uniforms the Knights. They added 2 this year, so, and now the gold helmet. So they just keep accessorizing, Ian, and it keeps turning up gold for them.
Well, it keeps turning up gold for them. Exactly. I think you have to do that. I think you can't just be treading water. You have to be going for it at all times to keep your fans interested in the game. And I get there is some tradition, but helmets are not tradition. Helmets weren't even worn when the game first started out. So why not let them play and have fun with the helmets and stuff? I thought people that complained about it were weird. I was just like, that's you're just looking for something to complain about if you're like all fired up about Vegas wearing a gold helmet. How dare they?
Well, it is Vegas. I mean, everyone comes here to blow off some steam and let loose. So, Vegas was the first team to bring back that I recall. I might be wrong on this. Someone could fact check us, but they also brought back the white gloves, which was California Golden Seal type style. And the California Golden Seals haven't been around for a long time. So Vegas is definitely in a crowded kind of marketplace, is definitely kind of forged their way into the conversation on things. And of course, they got off to such a great start, created a buzz around the league, and there's always a buzz in Vegas. So it's good. I like it. It's good for the league, and they're a good team. So, and then with some characters. So they definitely have a story behind all this stuff.
I think it's good to let the players show their personality and become something other than just hockey players. Just let them be. They seem to address more, showing their what they wear into the rink now. Is some ways they do it, but why not let them do it on the ice as well, right? Wasn't there a penalty for a while if you tucked your jersey? Didn't you get
I don't know about that, but they tried to come in with a rule a couple years ago that these guys had to wear their visors down a certain spot because I think it's Leo Komarov was in Toronto, and now he's on the island with the Islanders, and he had it tilted up so you couldn't even. I mean, it was on top of his helmet almost, and I remember them saying, "Hey, you got to wear your visor a certain way," and then they went away from that. I don't know about the tucking in of the jersey. I haven't heard that because that's from the great one, right?
Yeah, that's great.
You don't touch that.
But it was people trying to do not intimidation, but imitation of Gretzky. And for some reason, I thought I have no idea why they pulled that away. My God, what game are you looking forward to this week? What game?
We're taping this on a Monday, and I gotta say, I'm looking forward to we kind of really been all over Vegas this week. I feel like I've been a real homer here, but I got to say Vegas and Colorado. And the reason I say that is because I think anybody that watched this is their 4th game this week, but anybody that kind of watched the outdoor game saw Colorado you could tell they played in an outdoor game before, so they were all business in the first period, and then they had the intermission of 7 or 8 hours, and they came back. And Vegas was better, but they just weren't quite up with Colorado. So to me, Colorado looks really motivated. Vegas isn't far off. I think that the thing that Vegas is going to have to do to take on Colorado and put them kind of even with them is their power play just has to be a little bit and make them pay, because we saw it time and again the other night where when a guy like McKinnon gets the puck or in Edmonton McDavid gets the puck, they can literally go end to end and change a game. So Vegas, right. I'd like to see a little bit more. Maybe got to get a little bit more physical with Colorado, but it's tough to do. Colorado's greasy and they're fast. So just a great matchup. That's my game tonight and for the week.
Mark that on your calendar tonight. Vegas, Colorado, Jeff's game of the week. Let's go. We only got a couple minutes left, so we'll go with your best teams of the week and your best players of the week.
Okay, teams of the week. I'm going to go Carolina, Colorado, and I got one other one written down here, and it was Edmonton. Just because Edmonton was kind of washed up on the beach right at the start of the season, and now that team's bought in. I love watching them, and of course their superstars are next level. My teams, I don't think you asked me this, but I'm going to give them to you anyways. My teams that need to kind of pick it up this week, I'd like to see Dallas kind of really start now, hit and miss, 2-3 in their last 5. Calgary 1-4, and then Buffalo 1-4. Those are my teams I'd like to see get their act together this week and get going.
Okay, I'll give you mine. Mine was Edmonton and Florida. Those are my teams that impressed me this week. I thought Florida was running on all cylinders. Edmonton is definitely back into playing. And by the way, that Battle of Alberta is the most boring thing I've ever heard of. It's the Battle of Alberta, and it's just the most boring game every time. The teams that I think Buffalo should have to go to the AHL. And Nashville annoys me. Nashville's got so much talent, and they annoy me. Like, there's just so much going on there, and they're in the ditch. And who are your players?
I'm going to go with a guy that got moved from Am last year to Boston, and he looks like he's getting his stride, hitting his stride in Boston. Is Nick Ritchie.
Nice.
I try and go off the board a little bit each week, but I really like what he's done. He's kind of found a home. And I would say 2 other players that were in a similar situation to Nick Ritchie is Bennett in Calgary and Virtanen in Vancouver. All capable players, all big, strong guys that might do well with a change of scenery like Nick Ritchie. So that's it. And the other one is not a stretch at all for people that are watching the game closely is Mitch Marner in Toronto. He's just been off the hook. He's so smart. He does little things in the game that separate him. And Montreal built that team to compete and against the big guys in the East, and of course to lean on Toronto. And Toronto is being really. It's hard for Montreal to catch right now. That's one of the teams that they got those big, strong D and Mitchell Marner and Matthews and Hyman and those guys. They just seem to keep on going. So Mitch Marner and Nick Ritchie.
Mitch Marner and Nick Ritchie. Mine
say
is
that fast.
Yeah, I know. I just throw them up and turn them into one person. Mine is Patrick Kane. That goal he scored where he spun around and no look back into the top of it. Oh, I was just like, what? What a dick. That's all I could think when I watched him do that. There's just some guys that just play hockey and you're just like, that is impressive. It's like when you see a musician and they're not even trying, and it's so amazing. And he is one of them. They talk about trading what's his face in Pittsburgh, Crosby, but I'm like, he should be in the same conversation. He should have a chance to be able to go someplace and change the course of history in another town as well. I think Kane could do it. And my other one is Blackwood in goaltender in New Jersey. He's another one, as same as the goaltender in Chicago that I mentioned last week, that was supposed to have somebody in front of him that was supposed to take the brunt of it, and he was the supposed to be the understudy, and now he's the lead, and I think he's doing great. He's keeping that team in a lot of those games. So what do you think of that? I'm pretty talented too for picking some players.
I like that. I like how you went off the board there. That was good. There's Lankinen in Chicago and Blackwood in New Jersey. Nice,
Yeah.
Very solid. Very solid.
Very, very good. We're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna wrap it up, but we're gonna throw some shout outs. You want to throw some shout outs before we get going?
Yeah, I think, and I'll let you finish with the final one because I think that one stands alone. But I want to do a shout out to the Coxford Power Pit up in Terrace, where we used to work out with Dick Coxford. It was so nice to let us work out in his garage with Rod Philpott, Scott Hamilton, and Lauren Lafroth. Rest in peace, Lauren. And that's one of my shout outs right there, because I know last week I got a little heat for looking a little weathered from Dick. So I'm going to shout out to him this week.
You got taken down. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to say hi to Lawrence, Stella, and Trev for watching the show every week. That's always being nice. Here's one though. Here's my 2 shout outs for the week. Those were honorable mention, but here's my 2 shout outs for the week. Kevin Wiley is.
Oh yeah.
So he posts this photo of the best team he ever coached. Right. It's only a couple years old. He coached me when I was in Bantams. What a dick. Yeah. Just like, come on. So Kevin Wiley, big shout out for not including me in the best team he ever coached. And then
the best fisherman, though, too. Kevin's the best fisherman I've ever seen in my life. And I know you're a heck of a fisherman, Ian. Kevin's next level. So he's like Barishnikov on a boat. That's how he moves. And he's also the nicest guy you'd ever meet. So
yeah, and he wasn't when he was a kid. Everybody was scared of him, for Christ's sake. But yeah, he's a great fisherman. I'm a fantastic fisherman. If you're looking for logs, I can pull logs out of the water like you wouldn't believe. I'm Jesse from Beachcombers when it comes to finding logs when we're going out. And the other one is we wanted to shout out to Dana Bryson, 1,500 games with the Los Angeles Kings, equipment trainer in Los Angeles. Congratulations, Dana! 1,500 games. Here's to another 1,500. My God, congratulations, Dana Bryson.
The best people in the organization are the trainers. And with this protocols that everyone's dealing with now, and they're the guys that are throwing bags at 2 a.m. They're setting up everything. They're there at 6 a.m. These guys don't sleep during the hockey season. So when you see those trainers behind the bench, those guys are the best people in the world. So congrats, Dana. And hey, he's one of and his wife works for the Ducks, so he's even better that they can keep that on the tracks with one working for the Kings and one working for the Ducks.
Oh, my God. And he's the reason that I've held and drank out of the Stanley Cup. So thank you very much, Dana Bryson. Mm-hmm. Jeff, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
You too, Ian. Take care, and love to all.
Love to all. Goodbye. Hey, guys. I hope you had a good time. Thanks for enjoying Orange Slices with Jeff and Ian. Make sure you send us an email to ian@ianbagg.com. Make sure you like, rate, and review. And don't forget to share. If you have questions, make sure you send them or we'll never know your questions. Have a great week.